We're returning the Oracle of Ages. We're gonna... I don't know where we are in that game, actually. I think we're getting ready to do the 5th dungeon? And if we finish the last dungeon, we might, or the 5th dungeon, we might also get the last of the Link secrets as well. Yeah, let's try and find where we were. Right, what time period are we in? A good start. We're in the current age. No, it's the past. Okay, current age is the past. Right.
I'm the champion of this world. I'm the champion of TV, and I'm gonna win an Emmy.
Thank you for the sub, Shinra. It is the 4th one. That's crazy, actually. Maybe 4 months as I've become an affiliate. I mean, it's a good message. I don't know what you're talking about. Alright, we have the crown key. We need to find somewhere to use it, I think. We don't need to dance because I don't think we got it for it. Oh. Also, welcome in, Shinra. How's it going? How's your Friday? Hope everyone's having a good Friday. But, you know, not being busy with work, not being doing whatever. I need this. Oop. I was kind of busy with work, but not too bad. I had a busy one at work. That's... At least it's done now, right? I assume it's done. You're not working late. Working late on a Friday is the worst. Right, so we want the present, we can go up that. Alright, because I was like rushing through this whole area to get to this stuff. I can just go to the present now, right? This is the thing we can do. We have this power. Well, that's good at least. Well, I don't know about the working tomorrow thing, but at least you don't have it today. Okay. Target cars. Do we need to do target cars? Do we need to do... There's so many mini games this area. This game has... Oh, there's a thing right here. Cool. This game has so many mini games compared to the last one. Nice. Nice. Good question, Crash. Because I don't know. I'm not a football guy. Oh, it's this. Yeah. Lava just one player. Okay, we need to do this one. Okay. Yeah. Hit balls at the target. Oh no, this is the baseball thing. I was terrible at this in Seasons. Oh my god. And we need to do it to progress the story? This stream might be over. Fucked it. Oh my god. I did not got this. Oh my god, it's the fact that it takes points off when you miss. Our action's too bad for this. miles off. Alright, 130. Well, how do we do? Oh. No, but I'm gonna very quickly open this on favorite window, because while I was playing, this isn't gonna help because it's not delay, but when I was playing that pinball game, I was getting a tiny bit of delay. Not enough to matter, but enough that mattered for something as precise as pinball. So I'll see if it helps here, but it probably won't. Too bad. Do I hear the rules? Like, yeah, you clearly didn't get it. Also, let me reset this because I realized I didn't do that before. I don't think the audio was out of sync, but just in case. I know what to do. Let's see if this helps at all. Nope. Oh my god, do we actually have to do this to progress the story? Because we will literally be here this whole stream. Let's go mash it. $130. Maybe mashing is actually just the option, not timing it. These are working fine. Okay, yeah. My problem was I was trying to play as well, and actually you could just mash the button. I got lava juice. No, fuck off. I got what I wanted and now I'm leaving. Oops. And I'm gonna play you this music before I leave. Right, who wanted lava juice? He's one of the door keeps. Not this guy, this is fair. This guy was the secret code dude. Who's in here? Give my life meaning, I need an heirloom that will teach my descendants to value life. Oh god, it would be great if you bring me something unique. No. A vase would be great. You're riding in a strange vehicle and shooting things around. Oh my god, please don't tell me I need the other minigame. I think I have to do the other minigame. And the first generation of graceful dancers. This is the dance hall. Yeah. No. Also, it seems a bit full of yourself to refer to yourself as the first generation of something that you started. Like, as you're starting it. Like, I get doing it, you know, after other generations have started doing it, being like, oh no, I started that. I was the first generation of that. This guy's like, no, I invented dancing. And someday, everyone's gonna dance. And also, he didn't invent it, the Subrosians taught him it. There's some real, I invented rock and roll kind of shit. Right, who are you? Do you want something? Someone wanted this lava juice. Friends with the famous graceful girl. Yeah, no shit. Who isn't? Mermaid shape thing. Oh no, he does have it. Although, we got... I don't have to do the dancing, do I? Right, I might actually need to cheat. Because it seems like there's a bunch of stuff here and I'll be honest, I don't want to do I want to avoid as many of the mini games as I can. Because they kind of suck. I really like this game. These mini games are killing me. They're killing me. Let's see. Crown key can be used to access the 5th dungeon. In the Goron shooting gallery, you can get lava juice, which should be given to Goron. Give something else. Okay. Oh, apparently we didn't need to do the dancing. We could have skipped the dancing. The dancing was fun though. I'm okay with that. The dancing was actually the fun minigame. It was like weirdly difficult in a fun way. What we need to do now is we need to go back to the prison, I believe. I think we'll go talk to the other doorkeeper, the one in the prison. Hey, what's up? This tree's almost gone. That's kind of cool. Oh no, it is that one up there, isn't it? This rock's gonna attack me. Also, I apologize for all the sniffles. I'm a bit sniffly today. No, this is... No, that's fine. I don't care about you. I'm just a little bit sniffly today. I'm not doing your minigame because it looks hellish. It looks like a fucking nightmare. Go back down here. Yeah, here we go. I said I've sat here guarding the pieces and rolling ridge. I can't leave. I'm so hungry I could starve. Can you give me some food? Oh shit. No, it's not him. Who wants the lava juice? Yeah, dancing. Got it. It wasn't you. You wanted the lava juice. This is one of the friends of the graceful Goron. Was it what, these dudes? Are you dancing well to the... Okay, I don't care about you. I need to give someone this juice. Yeah. I kind of hope this lava juice is like just lava, and it's just adhering to the Scottish rules of calling basically any drink juice. Which I didn't realize for a long time that was a Scottish thing. Until like an English friend got very confused why I referred to like soft drink as juice, and he's like, what? Yeah, it's juice. I mean, it's a bit non-specific. I can get why it would be kind of confused if someone's asking you for a thing, and you're like, alright, this could be anything. Let's go back in here. Right, we need to find the Goron that wants lava juice. I feel like he said he wanted lava juice. Like, we talked to him before. I think I remember talking to him before. You're the friend of him. But you're not that one, I guess. Strange. Either you guys, you're the elder. Yeah, you plant your bombs everywhere. I get it. fucked it. I was mashing that button. Okay, that one was on me. That one was on me. What are you, buddy? We talked to you before, but do you want this now? No. You? Did we talk to you? Right about how we found a beautiful key in the waterfall grow, so I'm jealous. Yeah, okay. You want a vase? You're not getting a vase. What were you? I'm going to master it someday. Or these hoodwear folk be asking about all the garden dance. Or maybe the Sabrosians stole the dance. It's great. Want to dance? No. I just want to give someone this lava juice. I'm gonna Google this. Because this was something that we definitely found last week, and or earlier this week, I just don't remember because it's been days. Because I remember talking to the guy that wanted brisket, and I remember talking to the guy that wanted... Not you. Who wanted lava juice. Because it like gives you energy. I don't remember where that guy was. One of these guys? We did not get that chest. Why didn't I get that chest? Big brought from the hair. Yeah, okay. Let's go get that chest. Oh god, don't push me into my bomb, asshole. Boom. Ah, it wasn't worth it. Right. Lava juice. Fuck. Fuck. We need to do more minigames. This is the one thing we didn't want to happen. Alright guys, Friday night minigame time. Everyone's favourite time of the week. We do this every week. Anyone that says that we don't do it every week is lying to you. We've always done it and will always do it. Oh shit. That was... I don't know why I jumped from that far. That was stupid. Here we go. Right. We need to go up here, and we go back into the present. And we need to go do that minigame that I went in and said, I'm not going to do this minigame, fuck you. As it turns out, the game says fuck you, and we do need to do the minigame. Oh. Right, let's go in here and do the cart minigame. Who loves minecarts? Oh my god. Hi buddy. Fire your seat shooter while riding in a cart. You hit enough targets, you win a prize. Up to 3 misses wins wins 20 rubies. Right. Prize this time is this. Fucking brisket. Fucked it. Oh. How many points do we need? 7 of 12. Too bad. Okay, I can only miss 3 of them. Oh, that's gonna be a pain in the ass. Yes, the brisket again. You're not gonna change it. I need the brisket to progress. Oh my god, the turning's so slow. Well, we missed 3 of them, so we just can't miss any more. Easy. Fucked it. That's not fair, that last one was gonna hit. It's 7 again. Let's try again. Yeah, the prize is the brisket. They're just taunting me at this point. It's like, oh, you wanna know what the prize is? Can you guess? It's like, yeah, it's the same thing as it was every fucking time I failed already. No! Alright, we missed 1. Eat shit. I do like the one that I missed is just right there taunting us the whole time. Just like, yeah, look, motherfucker, I survived. Almost perfect, but you still get 20 rubies. Oh, did I not get the brisket unless I got 100%? You sons of bitches. You motherfuckers. Fucking racket that these guys are running. Oh my god, right. Nope, fucked it. Fuck it. Yeah, give me the meat. I wonder if there's another way to this. Because the guy said that he wanted either brisket or steak, and I think that's steak. Like, it's just not shooting enough. It's not shooting. Not that much, we've missed too many now. I'm getting good at that bit at least. 8 of 12. We're getting worse. Alright, one more try and then I'm going to Google see if there's another way to this. Because I assume there's 2 options because it says steak or brisket. And this is obviously for one of them. Fuck. It's so... takes so long to turn. Right, we can clear this room easily at least. We just need to get better about that first room. Buddy, just let me practice the first room a bunch. At least he's not asking me what the rules are every time, but he is going, here's the prize. Maybe you'll get it this time. Fucked it. Let's see. Rock, brisket. I bet it's just a different minigame. So there's the brisket we get, so that is the brisket. But there is also... maybe this is the only one. Oh shit, I think we just need to do this. Alright, we're gonna be here for a while. Yeah, let's go again. Let's go. Yeah, get it. It's the rope brisket. What we're here for. Fucking nailed it. Fastest gun in the West. Nice shooting. You want a prize? Give me the brisket. No, fuck you. I'm never playing your game again. Ever. 0 out of 10. That guy was in the past, wasn't he? No, the guy that wanted the vase is in the past. The guy that wants the brisket is down here. Oop. Fuck off. Your food. Yeah. Here's your food. Give me the vase. And then let's go time travel back. Do this stupid jumping thing again. I do kind of like how puzzly everything in this game is, even if it is, you know, a lot of it does just boil down to get item per person. But I mean, that's Zelda. I mean, that's a lot of games. But it's kind of cool that there is all these kind of puzzles in the overworld in a way that a lot of other Zelda games don't do. Oh wait, I might be in the wrong place. I'm sure we could get down this way, right? I need my seeds and my jumping. Here's your vase. What a fine Goron vase. Please, let me have that vase. I'll trade you some Goronade. Delicious Goronade. Thanks, buddy. One quick gulp will keep you awake. Who was the guy falling asleep? Where was he? The important questions. I remember there was a guy. Do I remember who that guy was? Of course not. Don't be silly. Okay. So apparently the lava juice might have been to get the key that I already have. But because I did the dancing minigame, I don't need to do it. Oh, it's in the other fucking minigame. Right, let's go back up. I think we do need to just play every minigame. Get in my way. Although I don't remember this last one now. We have passed it already. I just can't remember where. Not this guy. This is target cars. Ba, ba, ba. Where's this go? Nope. You're that guy. Back down here. Dry Falls. Can we put anything in this? Nope. Please don't do that. This keyhole. I have a key. It's not the right key. I'm gonna pass here. I don't think it's in the pass here. I think it's inside the caves. I feel like I remember like stairs going up that took us there. I definitely do not know my way around this area at all. Oh, it's this one, right? Yeah, Big Bang Game, right. Big Bang Game. Big Bang Gang. I worked so many late nights recently, I don't feel up to playing games. I dug up a great prize too, oh well. It's Goronade. One charge of that, or one drink of that charges you up. Will you let me have it? Yeah, I'm not gonna drink it. I'm wide awake now, thanks. I'm gonna open up shop. Want to give my game a try? That's why I'm here. First game's on the house. What is it? I assume it's use bombs. It'd be funny to go into it without knowing the rules. Just like, yeah, fuck it, just give me explosives. When the game begins, try to dodge or throw the bombs that start falling around. See how long you can... Oh, we just need to not die. I'd say just. Okay. You get hit even once, you fail. Yeah, I mean, it's bombs, man. And that's the fucking key we need. Right, let's go. Oh, and there's goddamn conveyor belts. Give me this. I don't remember this minigame at all. I want this as well, actually. Let's just keep jumping about. Oh, it's so many bombs. What the fuck? Alright, we did it. There was so many fucking bombs. We got the old key. No, fuck off. It's so funny, all of these guys are like, hey, do I play the minigame again? It's like, no, you cannot make me. Unless you got some other secret dungeon key hidden in there. I haven't figured out how to get in there. Because across this. I don't think this is going to be a 100% save the way Oracle Seasons was. Because I don't think I'm going to get all the collectibles in this one. But maybe I will. The keyhole was downstairs. Right, it was... Can we jump from here? No, we can't. Not the way we want to go. Right. I don't think this is the right way. Hey, buddy. Yes, it's definitely not the right way. This is me backtracking all the way back. I need a time travel spot. I can just teleport. Go away. None of this. I have a dungeon to go to and get lost in. It is that way again, isn't it? Fuck. Oh, there's a time travel thing here. We'll just do it. This one, this one. Welcome in, Mick. How are you doing? I'm doing good. A bit stiffly, but you know, good other than that. How are you? So we'll go this way? This doesn't seem right. What's this cave? No, not this one. I'm also a bit lost, Mike, I'll be honest. But every day, the weekend chilling, nice. We wanna. I think I might need to be in prison again. I had an alright day. I didn't get as much work done as I thought I would, but also one of the things I had tasked to do was actually like a line change rather than what I thought it would be, which was like, they're going into detail. I thought I was going to have to like refactor a bunch of stuff and redo a bunch of code, and instead I realized actually no, I can just add like a line here and it works. It's been lost in Zelda game, not standard. And this one it definitely is. I get lost all the time in this one. Let's see if we can go into the past here and open up. I think there's 2 doors to this dungeon. I think this dungeon is going to be confusing. Refactor is also satisfying, but it sounds like a big time out. Yeah, I really like refactoring stuff, but it was also like really old stuff that... Oh, I see. So we're probably going to have to turn off this waterfall in the... Because that's the present. Strange. Well, we'll see what happens. Yeah, this was like a bunch of old code that was like old enough it would have been a real big effort to refactor it because it touches a bunch of stuff. Thankfully I didn't need that. It would have been satisfying if I had done it, it's just I didn't want to, you know, do it on a Friday. I didn't want to be like, I've got to do all this stuff on a Friday. Because I would definitely not get finished today. Right, here's Mermaid's Cave. We've made it to the 6th dungeon. What do we want? I mean, I guess this? I don't know why, I just always think, whenever I see like floors go up to the wall like this, I'm always just like, oh, that's gotta be a bombable one, right? Oh shit, snakes. And fireballs. My 2 favorite things. Shit. Oh, it's our buddy's Wizrobe. Yeah, the Wizrobe's in chat. I can't remember if I made that a free emote or not. I moved a couple into the free emote section. But might not have moved the Wizrobe one there. Okay. Let's shoot this, I guess. Oh, that's weird. It's very weird. Well, fucked it. We'll be like here? Perfect. Give me these. What you got to tell me, bird? Tents, just savage beasts. Do they want me to actually use these senses for something? Oh, do I need to like lure them over to move this? I'm Sebastian, you're golden, yeah. Literally, that's what I had to do. Right, we got key. We need to get heart, because this is annoying me. Right. I've forgotten what ones we can stand on, what ones we can't, so let's check. Need to go like down there. Come on. God damn it. Come on. Come on. God damn it. I just run and jump. Almost. There we go. Right. Come on. Hit the thing. Right. Give me my sword. Give me a heart, please. All of you get fucked. Right, so this is definitely a bombable wall, because they keep giving me bombs and there's blocks marking the wall. Kinda wild if it's not. Oops. Oh my god, it was a bombable wall. Right, let's use our switch hook. There's another bombable wall. Oh shit, it's a dice puzzle. Mick, this is because you're here. You spawned it. There wouldn't have been one in the game. You hadn't showed up in chat. Now the game's like, oh, Mick's here. Dice puzzle time. Yeah, solve it for us. I figured them out, but this one's... Now that I figured them out, this game has actually been like, we've made it harder by putting spaces. Because the easy thing about it is, like, you can see... So, for example, this one's blue on this side, right? We want it to be blue here. And there's only 2 colours on each side, so you just rotate it like that. What we want is to push this one up here, and then push it 2 to the right, so there's blue on here. But obviously we can't do that because of gaps, so there's going to be some other kind of... Actually, this one's actually even easier because we can't just do this. I'm overthinking it. But then we can't get it back down again, is the issue. So, I think we need to do these 2 first. We need to go in... How do we do this, actually? Because we can't push from the right here. We can't push down here. I guess we just need to push it onto this spot and then come out and push it back out again? No, I don't think you can do that, Crash. That would make it very easy. Yeah. I think we need to do the blue one last. So we need to do... red. I've already fucked this. Right, I fucked this. We're going back out. I fucked it instantly. We do this and do... Is this gonna be red? Okay, no. Right. So actually we can just do this first time and do bop, bop. We got red. If we do this, then we know that this is gonna be red. Oh no, that's blue instead of yellow, fuck. Need... Okay, I need this yellow. Actually, that solved it, that's it. So then we do this, and this, it's yellow again. And now I need blue. Move that across one. Done it. I'm a genius. And I got a key for it. So I've solved them. So yeah, they're actually pretty easy because they're easier than that other dice puzzle actually. Because yeah, the trick to it is just the color you can see here. When you push it up or down, that's the next color. And you figure out from that. But yeah, that one was slightly harder because it was like, hey, by the way, you should have figured out how to do these by now. So we've restricted your movement. Right. Can I cheat? Important question. Can I just like fucking book it? I don't think I can jump around the corner. Oh shit! Take that, game. Speedrun strats. Give me my switch hook. Love inventory menuing as always, but you know, that's life. We got a dungeon map. How much of dungeon have we seen? All of it? It's only one floor. That's interesting. Oh, it's only one floor, but I think we might need to go into the past for it. So, that makes sense. You fuck off. Right. Oh god. Oh god, leave me alone. Oh, let me do that. Oh, this is this room. Come like full circle. There must be something. There's a room to the right here, so I guess this. When did this open up? Well, whatever's open now. I'm not sure when that door opened. Because it was definitely a wall last time we came in here. Right, that's not where to be. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. There's like fuck all in here. Oh fuck. Now I'm confused. Stop shooting me with fireballs. Wait, shit, maybe there was like a diving spot right at the end of that room. And I forgot the diving spots don't actually look at them. Usually they signpost it though. But maybe they were like, there's nowhere else to go, so they'll be smart enough to know to go to the other side of the room. But I'm not smart enough. Okay, there wasn't. This is all for nothing. Get out of my way, spider thing. I suppose these walls are bombable. Again, they usually signpost it better. I'm surprised if they are. Nah. There's definitely something up with this controller where the minus button keeps counting as a home button. I need to open it up, try to fix that. I keep forgetting. The only place I've not been that I can get to, I can't actually get to. So is there another entrance to this building? So I think there's a way to get in here from the past. And then from past to present. Yeah, I got that. Is there something crash with the Spider-Man run? Yeah, I know. Well, to be fair, it's not getting in the way. It's just every now and again when I try to open up this menu, it opens up the home menu instead. Crash didn't blame the controller, she blamed the loading times. Ah, of course, you need to go into the waterfall. Wait, what? Didn't I get another key? I only got one key? Where's the other key? I thought I had both the keys. Wait, I should totally already have the other key. Alright, let's... I don't understand why mashing the button makes the load times go faster. Yeah, it seems like a myth. I don't understand why it works. Bizarre. Okay, you do that. Yeah, no, it's you. Bye, buddy. No, I don't want to dance. Alright, let's go back into the present. So we got the key in the past, and there's a key in the present as well. But the guy that gives us the key in the present, we already talked to. We already did stuff. But I guess we just got one of the rewards because we didn't do the full trade sequence, we just did the dancing minigame. We can go up here. I think it's this guy? No, it's not this guy. Who do we have to give lava juice to? This guy literally just says you can give lava juice to a Goron. Like, this is the most useless fucking guide. Well, it must be before this room. Because we can't get through here without the thing we get from him. Being this in past year, give the grace of... So it is in the past. The graceful Goron's friend. Must just be one of the Gorons in here. Yeah, I don't care where you. Very super folk, blah blah. Where's your friend? No. No dancing. I really know what's going on under hoods to make it work like that. Yeah, I don't understand what would happen, like how that would even be a thing, unless it was like actually hard coded. But why would it be hard coded? Like, did they slow down the load times to let you see the like fancy comic screen for a second? Yeah, I don't understand. Guess we'll go downstairs and brag about how I found a beautiful key in a waterfall grotto. I'm so jealous. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I was watching the world record run for that, and the guy mentions it's like a beta version that has a bunch of stuff different from the main game. So it wouldn't surprise me if like that it just has some beta stuff in there like that. Just like this is a thing to let us skip stuff. Let's tell him about friends with you. The key. Okay, so we had to have the key before we talk to this guy. That makes sense. I mean, it doesn't, but that makes sense. I want his key. Give me the thing. Lava juice. Here's a lava juice. Yeah, there you go. Enjoy your juice. Letter of introduction. Right, we'll go talk to him. Do this fucking thing again. Right. Shit. I did download that jam pack because I wanted to see for myself how it felt. Because I remember enjoying that Spider-Man game and seeing you play it and try to run try to go real fast, and it made me think, I'm sure I used to be able to do that. Like, be able to, you know, web swing and then stop and then web swing around the corner. Man, if I could, I definitely can't now. It's just my brother. What's this? Yeah, nostalgia is a powerful force. And also, I think I played Spider-Man 2 more, so maybe it's just way better in Spider-Man 2. I don't know. Is there Spider-Man 2 demo somewhere, Mick? Tell me. Tell me. I can't turn down a brother's request. I can't just give you this. Dance me for it. I've done the dancing so many times. No, I know the dance. We don't care how you dance as long as you have rhythm. Damn, no enter electro. Oh shit. Fucked it. No. Too early. This minigame is a pain in the ass. Yes, I will try it again, because I need to. Ah, shit. That was too early. Oh, thank God. I'll do it as I promised. Got the mermaid key. Awesome. Concentrate, would you like to read the rules? Shut up. Shut up, dancing Goran. Right, let's go back to the dungeon. So now we should be able to open the door on the other side. Another timeline even. I assume changes we make will make changes in the present day one. I don't know, it's gonna be a weird dungeon. What's up this way? We can just teleport. Nope, wasn't this one. This one. I think if we just teleport to this tree that's right next to us, and then jump off, we're good. Nope, don't do that. Wrong button. I'm good, thank you. Get rid of that so I don't accidentally use it again. Now I should be able to use this key. And we're in Dungeon 6. Oh, did we get like a separate map for this one as well? Here's the bomb. Yeah, here's our guy. There's the green one. Post your whiz robes in chat. Gaseous seed, that's not what I wanted. I don't care about that at all. What the fuck is this? What are you? Who do I kill you? What are you? Oh, there we go. They're like candles. Yeah, Crash, you're right. Like, just as you posted that. I kind of didn't see the little kind of wick on their head. Oh my god, stop running into me. Leave me alone. You get fucked. Yeah, that is quite interesting. Well, there's like an order to these. I bet there's somewhere I could like learn the pattern for this. But I have a lot of seeds. Oh shit. That's a new one. Is this old boy gonna tell me, hey, go back to the present, asshole? Or, no, he's just saying don't go in the black water, dipshit. Which is fair. Yeah, I was expecting... Honestly, I was expecting like a key. I wasn't even expecting a bridge. I thought it was going to just drop a key or some shit. I was like, no. This wall's gonna fucking cave in. It's pretty cool. Here we got a dungeon map. Because this one has 2 floors. Also, there's a room behind this wall. There's so many of these guys. I have so little health. So next room we can go up. We already knew. From the future. Oh, thank God, a fairy. Thank you. Remember and hydrate. Right. Let's try this one first. Oh, it's one of these. I like these. I like these ones. I still love just the animation in these. I think the folk from Size Neighborhood are here. I just overheard someone outside their proper genuine joke. Oh my god. Make sure no one's stealing cars. It's such a wild thing. So my keys from the present didn't come back into the past, which I guess makes sense, but also doesn't. Because, like, why wouldn't I just keep them? Wait, what? Oh my god, right. Oh my god. Oh. Ah god, all three of them at once, let's go. These candle enemies are fucking weird. Joke's on you guys, you have a bow and arrow, I've got a gun. Okay, we have key now. Nothing up here, right? Of course not. There's no room to the right here. Don't even got bother checking if I can bomb in that wall, because what's the point? What's the point? Of course the last one was the only one with F in it. Right. There's robes. I'm going to make the prediction that this next room is going to be the mini-boss. Based on nothing. Just my gut. Ah. That's fun. Oh man, if it's just a giant one of those candles, that'd be pretty cool. I'd be into that. Fuck. What's the catch? Something must get pushed. What the fuck's going on? One of you fuckers has to move. There's gotta be something. Do we maybe get an upgrade for the cane that lets us do 2 blocks at once in this one? Yeah, only magic one. We only get 1 block though. Maybe this is, yeah. Oh no, there's no level in the cane, so the cane probably doesn't get upgraded. Hmm. Interesting. Now these other ones seem to move. But what am I missing? We can only have 1 block at a time. Didn't miss anything else in here. Oh. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. Well, let's jump in that hole. As you do. Damn, I was wrong. It's not the mini boss. Get my way, hands. Right. What the fuck? Gotcha. Oh no, it's one of these. I'm a genius. Apart from the bit where the next area I need to go is a key door and I don't have any keys. PM's threatening to call a general election if he doesn't give away what was he wants this time. Also, that's a wild threat from a guy that is so far behind the polls even after like Labour is imploding. Really, over the fucking Rwanda thing? It's not even a popular policy. Like, if it was popular with, you know, constituents, I would understand why he would threaten to fucking blow everything up over it, but like, it's not a popular thing. Not a popular thing with anyone. Like, some of the most hardcore Brexiteers, I guess, but like, the majority of the voting public either don't give a shit about it or don't like it. It's a bizarre one to fucking... Look, it's... What I'm saying is... It's a weird hill to die on, but I'm glad he's dying. You know? How did I get downstairs? There must be a hole. Not these ones. They look different. The holes you can jump in always look different. Tories do fail upwards. It would be such a weird move for a Prime Minister that has been, since the start, like, kind of one of the main complaints people have had against him, other than, you know, his policies and stuff, is he was unelected. For him to then be like, hey, also, I'm putting an unelected person into a prominent position of power by bringing David Cameron in, giving him a lordship so that he can, you know, work in government. And then be like, right, now I've made myself especially unpopular. Election time. Now's the time. Yeah, they always fail upwards. Oh, I think I need to go back to the present. Cameron, the guy who basically... The thing about Cameron is, the dude is just a big gambler. Like, I've said this many times before. But the thing that Cameron was above all things is a fucking gambler. Like, he came out of the independence referendum, and instead of going, hey, the yes vote was polling at like... The yes vote was polling really, really low at the start of the referendum campaign. Like, it was literally like 15% or 20% or something like that. And then he almost lost. Like, the yes vote almost won. You know? Like, Cameron almost lost. He came out of that going, fucking nailed it. Let's do that again. Rather than being like, oh shit, I almost lost. We should probably not do that again. And he lost the next time, because of course he did, because he's a fucking idiot. But the dude's like a whack job gambler that was like, well, do it again. Yeah, I do remember that. That was very funny. it's kind of sad that he was also kind of like, I say this with the full qualification of she was an evil Tory that did horrible evil things. She was also the last competent Prime Minister we had. She was using that competence to try and push fucking evil shit. But since then we've had fucking Boris Johnson being a goddamn lunatic and Rishi Sunak, who has kind of just been nothing. He's just been kind of flailing between every problem. Yeah, like a cartoon character. Like, Boris Johnson is, you know, he has a clown persona that he puts on for stuff. Rishi Sunak is like in a cartoon where, you know, like in an older kids cartoon where if, you know, the whatever character was having to deal with one issue and then as they were fixing that issue, 3 other ones pop up and then that just keeps spiraling out of control. That's Rishi Sunak. Like, he's not really, he doesn't really have any policies of his own. He doesn't really have any opinions of his own because he's too busy trying to, like, put out all the fires of each individual part of the let's call them Labour Party, but you know what I mean. You know, the other Keir Starmer kinda. But like yeah. He's been putting out all the fires in different parts of the Conservative Party and hasn't really had a chance to do anything. It is a goal. The thing is, Labour are going to walk in no matter what. Like, I don't think... Oh god, we fucked this. I don't think it's going to be... As much as the things Labour are doing annoy a lot of people, I think they're going to win anyway, you know? Wait, before I pull this, let me check this. Is there some actual trick to this? Test your luck. Guess there isn't. It is just luck. Okay. Well. Is this a trick? Yeah, but yeah, the BBC fucking drew Sunak as Superman that one time. That was fucking wild. Hey, finally got it. Yeah. It's such a weird situation. There's just been a lot of like unforced errors on Labour's part. Is there anything else I can do in here? I don't think so. Alright, let's go back. For fuck's sake, Mikey. I'm taking back that shout out I gave you. This is worse than the OJ patter. Yeah, this is 2D. It's a Game Boy game. Oh, you mean like side scroller? Yeah, there's side scrolling parts. All the Game Boy games have those kind of side scroll parts. It is weird, I agree. It looks wrong. It is kind of Zelda 2-ish, although it doesn't control like Zelda 2, thankfully. Oh god, these fireballs. Right. So now we can do this. Oh wait, is this how we were meant to get in here? Okay, I fucked this, haven't I? Then you got the next one. But yeah, politics in this country are fucked at the moment. I mean, they're always fucked in every moment, I guess. Oh, I'm an idiot. Why did I do that? What if down here? Yeah, it'll be weird. The thing is, I think a lot of people would be happy. Fuck. I think a lot of people would be happy even if the Labour government ends up being kinda whatever, just because they might be able to hold the, you know, like hold on to power for a full term, which would be a fucking crazy concept in this time. Because yeah, like you said, constant revolving door PMs, mostly elected, but Sunak really doesn't want to fucking give up his spot. I can't... Yeah, it's... It's weird. And the Tories are just like... I don't know. I love watching Tory infighting. It's fun. Like... Rishi being like, hey, by the way, none of you fuckers are good enough for this job, so I had to bring David Cameron back in. That's so petty in such a beautiful way. Bit late for a crash stream. Yeah, it's Friday night. It's perfect time for politics. But yeah, it's a weird situation for everything. But most of the stuff that like... Wait, what flip? Like this? Whoa. That's it. The thing to me is that I feel like everything that Rishi has done in the past couple of months feels so much like he just doesn't want to win an election. Because why else would you do the things that he's been doing? Wait, I'm completely fucked. What am I doing? Oop. How did I get back? How did I get back? Am I stuck here? Oh wait, I can literally just jump off here. I'm an idiot. Yeah, true crash. But I feel like he must have reached the point where he's like, I'm fucking done. Because like, that latest cabinet shuffle is like the most, hey, get most of Boris Johnson's crew out and get some more David Cameron types in, including David Cameron himself. And that's the kind of thing that is, I don't think, going to help in elections. Because, like, the reason he had to rely on those Boris Johnson far-right types is because they won an election. And I don't think sidelining them is going to go well with their constituents. I don't know, maybe it will. Maybe a lot of those voters have got to the point where they're like, nah, actually, fuck this person. But I doubt it. Oh, it's this dude again. I'm amazed you've come so far. I thought you a harmless turtle, but I miscalculated. At any rate, I'll finish this soon. What's up, buddy? I died. No candle boss, yeah. I'm serious. Fine, goodbye. Impossible, not once, but twice. Varen, Onyx. I'm sorry, goodbye. I think we fight that guy again later. I wonder where the mini-boss would have been there. Or if it would have just been the same. Just he remembers us. We might not have got the lines about him remembering us. Right, we need to blow this shit up. Can we do this just by like holding the bomb for too long? Let's find out. Nope, not that long. Too long again. You may just have those lines in other places. Yeah, I think the other place was the last game though, is what I mean. Like, I think we fought him in seasons and that's why he mentioned that. We got a mermaid suit. We can swim in deep water now. Let's go. Where was there deep water? I don't think there was any deep water. Oh, I think we just finished this part of the dungeon. Okay. Let's go back to the past. Anything in here? Oh, they're like underwater kind of puzzly segments. Oh, I have to like tap the direction. That's weird. We got a ring. Why is this one a different color from all those? I don't remember this power up at all. This is weird. Cool though. Bye, Maple. I already got your thing, Maple. I don't need more. I quite like this dungeon. This idea. Oh, it changes my swim controls everywhere. That's a little annoying. So there was deep water to the right, I believe. Not you guys. Yeah, next room. I'm gonna move the link that's sitting next to the tree. Get my gun. Bub, 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 bub. Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. Oh god! There's definitely a safer way to do that, but not a more fun way. Yeah, annoyingly, I need to now tap to swim, which is not how the movement worked before. Can I just not use my sword underwater? Oh. That's weird. I can't use B to swim anymore, but also I can't use any items that are in that slot anymore. Strange. Yeah, I agree, Crash. It's interesting how different they are and how much stuff they managed to cram into these. And even just the differences between the two games, like obviously this power-up is not in the other game at all. This game had like 2 or 3 more mini games. Whereas Oracle of Seasons had like the main thing is a bit more instrumental than the time travel is. There's more to it. Because you get 4 seasons that make major changes rather than 2 time periods. Oh my god, oh my god. Let me go up here. Oh, this is all underwater. The whole place is just flooded. Oh, he killed our snake. Get him away. Give me this key. Is it a key? Key. Now I need to go all the way back. Oh shit. I got jellyfished. I don't know why I'm swimming against the current. But yeah, there's like so much stuff in these games. There just isn't enough stuff. I was talking to someone else about these games and they said the Capcom team that worked on these games and Minish Cap actually ended up as part of Nintendo. So they are still making games. Or they are still making Zelda games. It seems like they're like part of that crew, I believe. At some point they stopped working at Capcom and Nintendo were like, you're good at making Zelda. Come make Zelda with us, please. Please join us in this in the Zelda team. Which is good, because these games are great. Uh-huh. Yeah, they made this one. They made Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons, and then they made Minish Cap on the Game Boy Advance. I completely forgot that you just like the only Zelda game you've finished is the CDI one. Is this gonna be what gets you into Zelda games now? You're like, wait, Capcom, I'm on board. Yeah, that would be great Zelda and NBC 4. I mean, he was in Soul Calibur, so he should be in more fighting games, I think. No CDI, no deal. That's, you know, man's got to have his morals. I might not agree with them, but I can't fault them. I've never played those CDI games, and after watching you play some of them, I don't think I ever will. They seem real bad. Hey, Ghosty. What, you just going all the way over there? Jesus. It's like on stream I want to play all of these portable Zeldas, like the Capcom ones. Which really just means I want to play Minish Cap after this, because that's the only ones left. And then maybe like play through more of the Zeldas at some point, but man, I don't think I'd ever do the CDIs. They seem so rough. I don't even know if I'd do Zelda 2 at this point, because I finished Zelda 2 once before, and I didn't like it. It was not good. Right, so we're here. We can get through that door now because we have a key. So on the spinning thing. Smash all this shit. The boss key door is in the next room. And then we can do a secret. We can do the last secret. Wait, we can go in this water now as well. See if there was a fucking shortcut. Swear to God, I'll be so annoyed. Oh no, it's not, it's a separate thing. Is this necessary? I need to put my sword in the right spot. So there's something here. It's kind of cool, you can just use all of your items underwater. Oh. Oh. I put them on all of the spots. This. Maybe too far, right? Yeah. But yeah, I was thinking of playing more Zelda games on stream after I finished the Capcom ones, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know about playing Zelda 2. I would like to play Zelda 1. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Obviously, I need to play Link's crossbow training. Because, I mean, play so many Wii games on here. There was a small key right here this whole time. I didn't need to go do all that shit I did before. Son of a bitch. What happens if I use the feather underwater? Nothing. It just doesn't work. Okay. Okay. Zelda 2, Simon's Quest on. You don't know how accurate that is. Zelda 2 is rough, man. In a lot of similar ways to Simon's Quest, like it's very just obtuse with what you're meant to do. But also the combat's really difficult in places. If I did play that, it would definitely be a lot of save scumming. What's the hot take? You love Simon's Quest. Yeah. No, I can understand that, especially if you're following a guide for it. Because the stuff that makes Simon's Quest like really a pain in the ass is the kind of obtuseness of like not knowing where to go or what to do. Because like it's like a puzzle game where they didn't give you any clues about how the puzzle works. And yeah, it tries a lot. Like it's basically like an open world game, and it has like a night-day system. It has like a bunch of weird hidden shit in the world. Like, it's definitely a cool game in theory. Wait, can I just put a block on this? I'm overthinking this. Yeah, I'm overthinking this. Nailed it. Like E.T. and Friday the 13th, those games try a lot, they don't do it well, but they have some good ideas. Yeah. Well, Friday the 13th, I don't know about E.T. Does E.T. have good ideas? Never played E.T. The Friday the 13th game is not good, but like, yeah, I can understand it being like, it tries some shit. Okay. We have a big Octorok dude. We can swim underwater. Nothing down here at the moment. Oh god. Have to shoot it in his head? Shoot it in his blowhole? Okay, I went underwater when I did that. Oh my god, okay, so pressing B makes you go up, that's why you can't equip a sword. That makes sense. Oh Jesus, get out of my Stop that. I realized I should have done a prediction. But I didn't, so. Sorry. Right, now they're underwater. That's true, to damage that thing. Dead. Easy boss. Finally a nice easy boss. That's a pretty straightforward dungeon in general, honestly. I like the gimmick of it though, like having two different versions of the dungeon across time periods. Didn't really use it that much. It was really just that one wall that we had to move. But, I mean, it was pretty neat. Maybe the next dungeon will, like, use that mechanic more? We'll find out. In the next episode of... Well, no, actually, we're just gonna keep doing stuff now. It's not even that late. I have great news. Queen Ambi has just left the palace. Now is your chance. This may be your only opportunity to save Nairo. We're not going to save Nairo. Not yet. Right. First though, we need to look at where the last secret is. After reaching Zora Village... Oh. When do we reach Zora Village? Oh shit. Right. I got some spoilers, but it's fine. I guess we just need to go back to the palace. Go back to the present, and then we'll go to the palace. We'll see what's up with Queen Ambi. Give me a second. Right. So we want this. I go back to the town. Ignore this old lady who's freaking out in the corner. The Mecca-Tree said that the Queen was out and about doing Queen things. I don't think we can even get to the Queen's Palace in the present. I think we need to be in the past for it. Right. This is the tower. The tower's blocked off, right? Oh shit, it's open. Oh, we came in here and we fought the dude because Zelda got kidnapped. I remember now. That's where we met the bat dude before. He kidnapped Zelda. And then we beat him up. Then we beat him up again. It's such a transition between those two songs. I'm not going to get used to the swimming controls being worse. Like, it's genuinely quite an annoying change. Right, tree girl, you guys can tell me. I'm jealous that you do so much for another girl, Proto. Let alone the Oracle of Ages. Alright, to Ambi's Palace. Where is Ambi's Palace, though? Tell me where it is. You weirdo. Is it this glowy thing? Oh no, that's where I left the portal. God damn it. Let me go back up there. I do think it's kind of a funny, silly thing that the tree is like into Link. Right. To the past. I think that's where we have to be. We can also get a shield upgrade, I think. We go back out to the island. So maybe we'll do that after this. And then I might call it a wee early one. A wee short stream. We'll get a couple upgrades first. Where? I think this is Ambi's Palace. Like this big bit. Hey look, it's our buddy, this guy whose name I can never remember. You also heard the guard on the palace was down and came to save Nairu? Anyone's gonna save her, it's me. I won't let you beat me to it. It's no good entering from the front door. I know there should be a hidden entrance to the palace or in the palace garden. I'll sneak in through there. Well, I don't know a hidden passage on my first trip here. Never mind. I'm coming, Nairu. You know, I'm glad the game asked the question. This music's good. Of course. Maybe we can teleport here again. Okay, so we can hit all these buttons. I'll be honest, I think this game is maybe actually a bit more elaborate than Oracle of Seasons is. Oh shit. Well, fuck it. Because Oracle of Seasons does have anything like this. Oh shit. I didn't mean that. Yeah. I still... Look, I know that my opinion is clouded by nostalgia, but I still kind of like Season more. Like, I think the dungeons and Seasons are a bit better. I just think the overworld in Seasons is better. Like, I've got lost so many times in this game in ways that I feel like I shouldn't be. Just because, like, there's weird, like, you need to specifically go this way in this time period to get up this bit, and it's like, ugh. Not a fan of it. But I'm enjoying the game overall. I just think I still like Seasons a bit more. But also, this is... hard to deny it's more elaborate. It feels like it's pulling more stuff in from like the Nintendo 64 stuff than Seasons was. Seasons feels more like a direct follow-up to Link's Awakening. Or I guess even Link to the Past, given it's got like the Dark World, Light World stuff, but with Underground. Although I guess this kind of does as well, because like traveling between time periods in this even leaves the same Dark World portal thing that was in Link to the Past. Hey guys, I'm just gonna hit this button, don't mind me. I've played a lot of Metal Gear, I know how this works. Throw me out, it's fine. I'm coming back. Easier to ask forgiveness than permission. Right. Nope. There's gonna be secret entrance. Oh god. Can't believe they managed to make bottomless holes underwater. This effect that they've got going underwater, this like, honestly it kind of looks like screen tearing, but you know, this kind of like ripple effect, it's actually really kind of really cool for a Game Boy Color game. I can't think of another Game Boy Color game I've seen that has had something like a full screen filter like that. Right, we made it. We broke into the palace. Oh god, there's more stealth. Oh god, we're gonna get caught. No, we didn't. See you, buddies. Hi, can I get past? No. It was a bad move. I don't know why I did that. Yeah, this is elaborate. And yeah, it definitely feels like there's more going on in this game than there was in Seasons. Not that Seasons was like a simple game. Like it was still a full-fledged Zelda game. Oh, right, what's through this door? We never actually checked the front door. Oh, people. That makes sense. Chest. I suppose we should probably... What the fuck? You saw me from off screen? And they attacked me instead of like arresting me? Weird. Maybe inside the castle they don't arrest you, they just attack you? I mean, I guess we should test it. Weird. It's a weird difference. Like, fuck that guy. Oh, there's no... This isn't a dungeon, so I can't see a map. I think Mark steps... That's it, it's behind closed doors, so they're like, yeah, fucking just... Get him. When the media could watch though, they're like, oh no, we're law-abiding. Behind closed doors, like, yeah, fucking kill that kid. Fucking get him. Why do they have so many bushes growing inside their castle? I guess it's meant to be a wee like garden or something. A courtyard. Look, it's definitely Nairu and definitely not the bad guy in disguise as Nairu because her face is blue. Do you mean to turn your sword on me? If you want to hurt Nairu, then go right ahead. I don't think we want to hurt Nairu. What do I do? Yeah, if I hurt Nairu, it hurts me. I don't really have a way to knock someone out. Feels like I'm missing something. I was gonna say what weapon did we get in the last thing, but we got the fucking mermaid suit, that doesn't help here. Hi. How's it going, buddy? What am I missing? Alright, I died. Can't attack her. Oh shit, I'm back here. I can't attack her. I don't seem to have any weapons that'll do anything. I guess I could try shooting her or something. But like not a fire one, only the scent one. Did I get a mystery seed? Oh, in fact, wasn't Nairo saying shit about mystery seeds earlier? Maybe it's mystery seeds I need to use. But when the game expects you to remember that because, you know, you've probably been playing it over the course of a couple of days rather than over the course of a month. A couple of weeks at least. There we go. Put to sleep. As long as I'm in Naira's body, you cannot harm me, which means I'm invincible. Not if I fucking shoot you. Bombs. Mick, you want me to blow up Naira? She's the Oracle of Ages. What can I do? Can I switch places with the ghost? Oh, I can. She's pretty cool looking. Oracles can be replaced. I don't know if that's true. I guess I don't know for sure that it's not true. This enemy design's pretty cool though. Look at her. Like, she's incredibly anime. Yeah, this is a cool fight. It's a cool mechanic. Be like, alright, put Naira to sleep and then yank the fucking villain out of her body. Stop teleporting. The only issue is I can't have 3 things in my inventory at a time. So I do need to just keep swapping stuff out. Not bad at all. Just wait until next time. What is this commotion? Queen Amby. Where are we? You seem different. You seem nice. The queen comes with impeccable timing. Of course she's just gonna cut out the middleman and possess the queen now. Got bad news for you, buddy. I don't mind killing queens. Down with the monarchy. The only issue I have is killing oracles. Because oracles are okay. Everyone knows that. They're not part of the monarchy. Meet the petrified ones. I shall catch them all. Is it really Naira? Ralph. I forgot that guy's name's fucking Ralph. This like bizarre looking wizard man, and he's like, yeah, I'm Ralph. Sorry to make you worry, I'm fine now. Let us return to our own age. What are you doing? Catch them now. Clive. He is kind of the Clive of this game. Thank you, Proto. You've safely pried me from Varen's grip. Now all the strange things that happened in the land should return to normal. We fixed time. Not sure about the Uwu tree. The Uwu tree's great. She has a crush on Link. Like, she is super into Link. And Link's kind of like, you're a tree. I don't know about this. Protoveran's still in the past, right? If she is, then can't she still create an age of darkness that would continue to the present? Yeah, she can still fuck shit up. Sorry, Pro, I was the one running around while you did the saving. That's accurate. But know this, I'll be the one to stop Varen. I won't leave the people of the past to our evil deeds. Forgetting about Varen now would be foolish. If we do, she'll just come for Naira again. Yeah, everyone's going to remember the great hero, Ralph. Just like you said, I'll help in what little way I can. Frodo, you have the Harp of Ages. I want you to keep it for now. I'm sure it will continue to aid you. Let me teach you the last tune, which will unlock the true power of the harp. Also, welcome inside, yeah? I can't remember if I said that. If I did say it, then I said it twice now, so. Everyone put your Psy emotes in chat for Psy. You learned the tune of time. Play it to move back and forth. Okay, so now we just don't need the fucking spots anymore. Oh, thank God. Double greens are a special thing. True. Twin Rova's here. Let's see you after so long, Pro. We are Twin Rova, Gerudo witches. You're quite busy back in Holodrum. The police have rescued Nairu, but Ambi's age is already filled with cries of sorrow. Placed in the reach of the Dark Realm, Varen has spread sorrow across the land. Soon the flame of sorrow will ignite. Now only one flame remains. When the three flames burn in unison, the darkness, the evil king shall return. Oh. That's good to hear, Si. I mean, bad that you were sick, but good that you're feeling better. Those hags. What do they try to do? And go back to Ambi's age first. May fate bring us back together. I mean, how are you even time traveling? How is Ralph time traveling? He doesn't have a magic harp. He's just like, I'm going to the past, fuck it. Nova's behind Varen, and what she did mean by evil, blah, blah. What does she mean by evil king? What's going on? Proto, this gives me a very bad feeling. You must stop it. Next essence. That's weird. An essence is echoing from inside a fish. Oh shit, are we going to say Jabba Jabba? This game's obviously been pulling some Ocarina of Time stuff. I did stay up to watch Dynamite the night before. I still live in there, so I need to catch up on Dynamite. Was it good? Was the Like a Dragon Street fight everything it promised to be? Right, so we shouldn't even need the other two tunes anymore, I guess, because this will just do the thing. It's not gonna work in here though. So I assume Jabba Jabba's down here. It's entertaining for sure. That's good. That's good. I've seen nothing from it except for that they signed Ibushi. So I need to watch it. I just haven't had a chance. It was very funny to me. They're like, we signed Ibushi, and it's like, Ibushi wasn't signed? Crazy. Wait, can I just... Oh god. Can I just swim in the deep water? There's a pirate ship! Well, I gotta go to the pirate ship. But first we go to the island. These fuckers again. So there should be a cave somewhere, I think. Not this one. I will also take this. But yeah, I need to watch the Like a Dragon Street Fight. Because all the stuff I saw before it seemed really fun. All I need to know is, did anyone hit anyone with a bike? Because that's the most important part, of course. That's good to hear. I'm sold. Tell me no more. Is this? Oh, this is a dungeon. We don't need to dungeon again. I've been really in the mood to play a Yakuza game again, so I think I'm gonna finally dive back into 4. That's where I got up to. This looks... yeah. Wait, can I just do this anywhere? Oh, I can just dive underwater anywhere now. That's kinda cool. I dislike that the whirlpool sprite is the same sprite as the one that they use for the portals into Subrosia and Oracle of Seasons. They're different colour, but it makes me just instinctually want to swim into them. Oh my god, right, come on. Let me go in the middle. I was doing the Like Dragons in order until 7, which I thought would be fine as its new start, but it wasn't, so I fucked off now. It's, look, those games are generally pretty good about catching up on the stuff that matters. Oh my god. Come on, come on. Let's get in here. God, fucking open the chest. Right, piece of heart. This is not what I came here for, but I'll take it. I played... what did I play those in? I played... so my first Yakuza game was 3. And I didn't like it at all. And I fucking stopped playing it. And then was like, I guess the series just isn't for me. Then, like everyone else, I played Yakuza 0 and was like, oh no wait, actually, this series is great. Oh god, I'm gonna sneeze. Can I mute? Oh, sneezy. 0 honestly still might be my favourite of what I played. I really like 6 as well though. 6 has like some of the weaker combat in the series just because, you know, it was a new engine and they were redoing all the combat from scratch, and so it's kind of like, it's a bit simpler than what came before it and what comes after it. But the story in 6 is some of my favourite. I think, what order did I play it in? I played 0, and then I think after 0 I basically played them in release order. So it would have been Kiwami 2, 6, then Kiwami, or sorry, Kiwami then 6, then Kiwami 2, I think? Whatever the release order for those were, I played them in that order. Even though I knew that 6 was obviously way later. I skipped it because I just really wanted to play the new shiny one at the time. I bought the special edition that has... I still use the like glasses that came with the special edition. If you've never seen the special edition of Yakuza 6, I highly recommend looking it up. It was really nice. As someone who doesn't really care about video game special editions, like it came with 2 like whiskey glasses that... I don't drink whiskey, but I still use them for stuff all the time. They're really nice. They're just like 2 nice glasses. You know, it's like it's a simple, useful thing. How do I get rid to the other side of this island? Can I just swim? Oh no, I can't, because this is where I just was. Those boys love some Yakuza. Yeah, fair. But yeah, I basically played them in release order for a while. There must be some way up here. Can I get down that side? Oh god. I feel like I'm missing something. What did I play for that? I played through them in order till 6. Or till Kiwami 2, whichever one was the last one of that kind of batch. Then played Judgment. Then went back when the HD remakes came out for 3. Played Lost Judgment. So I've still got to play 4 and 5 and 7. And now Gaiden as well. Oh wait, I just realized I can fucking time travel everywhere. What am I doing? You can't tell what game I should play until you've played 0. 0's so good though. Okay, another here. Yeah, definitely Crash. The last one I was playing through was 4, but I kind of got burnt out on it a bit. Also, I've also got Ish in there as well to play as well. I did play both of the Judgment games though. I really like the Judgment games. It'd be a shame if like their weird licensing stuff means they end up not making more of those or something, because I actually... The first Judgment in particular I think is one of my favourite of that style of game. Yeah, I really love Judgment. Judgment 2 is also very good, or Lost Judgment. But I don't know, there's something about Judgment 1. There's some stuff they do in Judgment 1 that's not even like kind of crazy mind blowing. It's just like, this is such a weird thing to be in here. Like, without spoiling it, they have a cutscene about a thing later on that's like not... It's integral to the plot, but it's not like... It's just not a thing I would have expected. I think like a block here and stand on it? I don't think this will work. No. Lost Judgment is maybe a better game, but not a better story. Yeah, I agree. I like all the skull stuff, but it's like, yeah. Yeah, I would love more Judgment games. I feel like I'm missing something simple. Can I just jump? No, you can't use that in there. That'd be silly. Range. I've not actually done the Kaito files yet. I should go back and do that. I might just cheat, see where this thing is. Where's my shield upgrade? Mirror shield. I still have to play Cat Files. I'd save it for stream so I could catch up, and I've done 2 games in 2 years so far. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, you did pick an incredibly long project. Very fun project, but it's a very long project. Takes up a lot of your stream time. What am I looking for? Here's an island. Locating the cave at the south end of the island cannot be acquired until Link has already acquired the mermaid suit. The south end of Crescent Island. May as well play the Kyoto Files and make that max thing wait long enough. Yeah, you should. I should play as well. I actually kind of forgot it existed. Go back to that. I need to play Yakuza Ishin as well, just because I bought it, so I should play it. And it does seem good, I just haven't looked with it. Again, didn't press that button. It's down here. It's to the south, so I'm going to go middle south. There's a seed. Or a nut. I don't have a sword equipped. Got a Gasha nut. I got 200 rubies. That's actually very good. We can almost afford all the shit in the shop. Hey, this is the south of the island. There's like nothing south of here. Can it be in the past? When did we first show up? We showed up in the past. Didn't we? Oh, we did show up in the past because we took the raft, so let's go back into the past. This game? I don't think it's this cave. That's not bad. Decent length for a DLC thing. Oop. No worries, Mick. Thanks for joining. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. You've been told you're not allowed to leave. Is that the cave? That must be the cave, right? Can I get in there? Alright, let's go. You see me fall asleep on my laptop. Let you go sleep. Right, I assume that lizard holding up my shield is probably the guy. Also, anyone that watched this, has been watching these streams for a bit, you may remember earlier in the game we got washed up on this island and then these lizard dudes stole all of our shit. We collected all of our shit, except for we never got our shield back. We had a wooden shield and this guy stole it and came and hid out this cave. And then no one hasn't come to claim it. I guess you can have it. He's been polishing our wooden shield for so long he turned it into a mirror shield. It does look a bit like he was holding a urinal. You're not wrong. I don't need any thanks. You stole my shit. Also, we do have the mirror shield now. Which, we'll probably never use. Because I just don't use shields in this game. I only have 2 inventory spots. I can't fucking waste one on a shield. Probably why I die so much. Seems like a good pal, to be honest. He stole my shit. Don't steal your pal's shit. There was a pirate ship, and I don't know if that's something we should go find, but it sounds cool. He did improve it. That's true. Look, I saw him take it. You turned your wooden shield into your own, and I'd argue it's more useful. Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. Hey buddy, how's it going? My family's been fishing this island since my grandpa's day. The island is drifting to the west. So long ago it was farther east. Really? That's cool. Wonder what happens if I do this. Okay, that's pretty cool. I began my life as a fisherman on this island. But now the island drifts towards the horizon. In my grandson's day, this island will be farther west. You're not wrong. Time travel? Oh shit. I can. Time travel again. Not really sure where I'm going, but it seems to be progressing in some way, so... This way? We have time travel again. Yep. This whole, the islands have been drifting to the west thing's kinda neat. Oh shit. We have an issue. But wait, if I go into the past now, or to, yeah, if I go into the past now, then I'm just gonna be the same issue. Oh, I can do this. Okay. That looks like a lamppost. That must be Azora's domain. I keep forgetting I need to put this on. That looks like Azora. There weren't any Azoras in the last one. Welcome, young mermaid. This is Zora Village. Hi. Oops. Isn't there anyone who we can entrust the Zora's symbol of heroism to? The symbol, the Zora's scale, is a powerful sea charm. Give it to me. I'm a trustworthy guy. I'm reliable. See what's in his chest, obviously. Boo. Boo. Hey buddy. There's a large library east of King Zora's palace. Thanks. King Zora's palace. Jabba Jabba's shrine. Well, we gotta see our old buddy Jabba Jabba. Said to be quite amazed inside his belly. Oh no. Look, it's our buddy. Hey buddy. Oh, he won't talk to us. The big pal. Not wrong. Oh, I should have left the Oracle Seasons one up next to the big Goron. 200 rubies. I'm rich. I have enough to buy all the shit from the shop now. This is the palace of our ruler, King Zora, but long ago the king fell ill. Ever since, we've continued on with no king. Well, I mean... Oh. We do kind of need that key, I think. He's just not here. Right. Let's look for the secret first before we do anything else. After reaching Zora's village, make your way to the Gale Tree and the present. Oh, there must be a tree up above the water. Maybe this side. There's a building back there I can get to. This would appear to be the library that's locked. Oh no, I can't do this yet. Interesting. We must get some kind of upgrade for the... Oh, in fact, yeah, there's an upgrade. You can see the switch hook has a L1 next to it, which means we're going to get an upgrade for it. That makes sense. So, can we travel into the past while underwater? Oh wait, we want to be in the present anyway. Actually, we want to be up here. Looking for a tree. Oh wait, this might be actually what we're looking for. Aren't you a pupil of the Master Diver in Holodrum's Sunken City? I have a secret I would like to tell to your master. Will you do it? Yeah, I'll do that. Don't mix it up. Friends, this is the last time we're going to do this. And also the first time this stream that we're doing this, so... Get ready for our last exploration into Oracle Seasons. Also, there's no sound coming through, which is unfortunate. That was the wrong one. There we go. I mean, I'm not actually 100% sure. There might be something else. There might be another link code at some point, but this is the last of the secrets. So it's probably the last one. Right, we'll go to Sunken City. We go find our swimming buddy. I don't remember where he is, but I'm sure we'll remember. Oh, look at that. I can just hold a movement button and swim now. So much better. So much better. Where is the diver? Oh, I see he was up here. Is this him? I'm gonna let her hold my breath away. Pop dead? No, he's definitely not. Definitely not the Vaz guy. Oh, it's probably this guy, I'd assume. Do you need something? Yes. I need you to listen to me while I slowly type things. Exclamation mark. 6. JY. Exclamation mark. That's my secret. He's my senior pupil. It's nice having pupils all over. I'm in a good mood, so I have a gift for you. If you can pass my test. Fuck. Minigame time. Go down the stairway I'm about to open. I put something way in the back. If you can get it before time runs out, you'll get a prize. Oh my god. Let's go. 30 seconds. Go. Where are we going? This way? Nope. Fucked it already. 30 seconds doesn't seem like a long time. Let's go for the right one. I fucked it. I have a bad feeling about this. This definitely feels like more than 30 seconds. I got it in 41 seconds. That's not actually that bad. Now I know the route. Now I've got my speedrun practice in. I just need to do the out of bounds glitches. Oh, I didn't do any Sonic Art to start this stream. I decided to play pinball instead. Easy. Fuck. Last run. Goal. 35 seconds. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Hold on, I'm actually going to find out if I can turn that off. Because I'm not happy with that either. Yeah, so it must be using one of the like chat extension things. I don't see an option for it. Yeah, so there's like a couple of different chat extension-y things that bring in some of the old emotes that they got rid of a while ago. Yeah, I don't see an option for it, Stream Elements. Might need to dig into the code. But yeah, there must be something that's doing it, right? Yeah, I kind of agree, but there's like a bunch that... Yeah, that were kind of like that. What if I try my new one that I was testing out? Yeah, weirdly, I've never seen it show up on mine before. It's weird that that one did. Okay, I don't see an easy way to turn this off. So we just need to live with it for now. But I'll look at it more. Yeah, dude was an asshole. Right, I've tried this sort of thing again. I think just not fighting is probably the way to go. Unless I, like, need to get through something. Go the other 30 straight. 31 sec, you motherfucker, just give it to me, come on. This is tight. I didn't think it would be this tight. Yeah. I kind of thought there would be a decent amount of leeway. I feel like these things usually have a decent amount of leeway. Yes, it's the actual speedrun. I wonder if there's like... I guess there must be a world record time. Like, there must be a 100% run or something. 32, that was worse than last time. Honestly, I kind of wish he would just stop me at 30 seconds rather than letting me finish and going, ah, you fucked it. Just end it. End it for me. Don't let me have hope. Can I just swim through this? I can. New plan, don't fight anything, just swim through them and eat damage. And just fucking tank them. Oh, I can't do it for that one. Going up it seems fine. Going sideways I can't do that. Seconds. Oh, I fucked it. Yeah, it does crash. I've definitely already fucked this one up, so whatever. "32 seconds. Yeah, we'll keep trying. I don't think I made a choice but to kill those ones. Yeah, I keep accidentally going back into that corner. Sorry, like a Dragon Gaiden, but I'm playing Small Saga now. I've not heard of that. Ah, fuck. 31 seconds. I would have got that if I hadn't got caught in that corner there. Damn it. I've been playing that stupid Super Robot Wars pinball game that I mentioned in the TOS Discord. That's kind of all I've played today other than this. It's fun. If you like Pokemon Pinball, it feels a lot like Pokemon Pinball. Oh my god. Right, I fucked it. I hit that corner again. That sounds cool. Right, fuck this guy, I'm gonna go through him. Then you could save time, but yeah, it seems if they hit you like from behind, it gives you a wee bit of a knockback in a boost way. I think there's only like one enemy that it would make sense if you're like optimizing it, which is that one I got hit by this time. Oh, thank fuck. That enemy I got hit by at the start seems to be the one that you could really do that with in a useful way. Only my pupil could do it. Here's the prize I promised you. I got a ring. Let's go get it appraised. Right. Oh. Go back to town. Foreign village. I'm going to open up this Steam thing now. Small Saga. Oh yeah, this looks adorable. Looks great. I do actually want to try that. Right. Let's go get this ring appraised. Praise. It's a swimmer's ring. So we can swim faster. Give me a secret. So we're going to have to do this to transfer the ring back into the other game. So we'll need to go back to the jeweler at some point. Which we'll probably do soon. There should be a tree near here that'll let us teleport back, so we'll do that and then we'll... Hey! This is not creepy in any way at all. What the fuck is this cave? There's a bunch of weird fucking like graves in it. Well, we didn't see that. Hey, we've got a ring. Where's the tree? That should be... down this way? Here we are. Right, now we can travel back here again. So... let's go get a ring. Oh, well, let's do this while we're here. Dev is co-creator of that Aviator Attorney. Aviator Attorney is... I never finished it. I need to go back to it. It's cool though. It's like a cool Phoenix Wright-like game. A good sense of humor. Okay, that's not where I wanted to be. But that's cool. That makes me more interested in it. Right. We want this. And we want this. Got 4 pieces of heart. Just take my money. Let's go back to the present. This is where the ring shop is. He's doing Nintendo platform-based games with animals. What's next? Lizards with Mario Kart, Fishbit for Metroid. I mean, there was a cat but Metroid game. Right, let's do this code. Yeah, Gatorbo is great. Did you ever play the developers of Gatorbo also made a kind of joke game for Devolver Digital. There was like a bunch of remakes of other, or they're fake like knockoffs of other Devolver Digital games. One of them including their own game, because it was Gato Roboto, but it was like a Castlevania game. Oh. No, umbrella. Let me see if I can find it actually. Wait, what? What did I put in wrong? Oh shit. God damn it. Right. I fucked up right at the start. R Q D. I don't know why I hit R twice. That was just a literal typo in the longest goddamn password we've had to use yet. T R $S. No one fucking show Mikey that I put a code in wrong, because after annoying him while he was putting codes in wrong and Beyond Good and Evil, it would be unfair. Alright, so we have rings. God damn it. Not much to do. Hey, I got another ring. The one for killing a bunch of monsters, which is useless. Oh god, I have so many to praise. Thanks. Armor ring 1. Oh, I don't have money. Crazy. Can't remember the last time I didn't have enough money to appraise rings. Let's see, so we want this swimming one. Where's the swimming ring? Heart ring, let's do that one. Swimmer's ring, swimming speed up. What was the other one I got? Sword beams at -2 hearts, that would be kind of handy actually. I don't know if I'll use it, but... Alright. That's us for Oracle Seasons, I think. I don't think there's any more connectivity stuff. We've done it. I mean, I'll definitely still leave it at the tree guy for, you know, the remaining Oracle of Ages streams, I guess. But that's, I think that's us for that game. Let me save it. I won't forget. Yeah, I think the tree in the corner is a vibe. So is the Big Goron, but the Big Goron's like too far away. I can't be fucked getting up to the Big Goron. Right. Sleepy Tree is definitely relatable. I agree with that. You know, Crash, that would be the sensible thing to do, but honestly, I wouldn't expect that much of me. Wait, I'll see how fast we go with the thing. Oh, that is way faster. That is actually so fast. That makes the whole needing to mash to swim way better. It's true, I do have it already set up. Alright, this is where the weird coffins were. Well, let's see what's in the past here. Why not? And then we'll... that might be it. For tonight. Anything fun here? And just trees. Trees. Can't go underwater here. Underwater here though. Oh yeah, 'cause this is the Zora village. Would be weird if I couldn't. Anything just going on here in the past? Your king's probably still alive, right? King's always past and beyond here. Take care not to be rude. Let's go tell this fishy motherfucker who's boss. Eat shit, king. This is the end for me. To think the prosperous royal family could fade in a generation. The pain. Sounds like he's in pain. Yeah. We believe we need a special medicine called a magic potion to cure King Zora's illness. Where can we find a magician to create such a potion? Can we talk to Maple? Is Ralph a magician? He definitely dresses like one. The stairway leads to the throne room. The king is ill. If you must see him, make it brief. King Zora has no successor. If his illness continues, he passes on. We Zoras will lose our last king. Game, there's no way to make anyone else a king or some kind of ruler. Maybe you could all like come together and agree on who's in charge. I guess that would never work. Fun up here. There's a keyhole to open the library if I can do that. To be fair, it doesn't work that well either. True, but I mean, it works better. Hi. You don't look like a great fairy. You may not believe this, but I am the Queen Fairy, Guardian of the Sea. The curse of an evil one has made me appear so. The magic of fairy powder could turn it back to normal. Burn has poisoned the sea. Soon all living things in it will perish. Please go find some fairy powder. Right, so we need fairy powder and we need whatever the fuck it was we needed for the other guy. Right, I'm gonna save. Make a save state as well. Oh, but I think that's gonna be it for tonight. I'm gonna go enjoy the rest of my Friday evening. Sigh. You're right. That is exactly what she's asking for. Alright, do I have a schedule? Whatever, this is the last day of my schedule anyway. Oh god, it doesn't fit in there. This is also my old schedule. This doesn't. Never mind. Ignore that. Get some suds in there. That's it. He was hanging out in what looked like a fountain, but actually was just like a big fucking basin. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for watching. Thank you anyone that lurked. Thanks again to Mikey for the raid earlier. Thank you to Shinra for the sub. Thank you everyone that's here. Yeah, it was fun again. I think we're nearing the end of this game. It looks like we've got 2 more dungeons. And then... yeah, 2 more dungeons and then there's the final boss stuff. Which might take a while because I remember it being difficult. So probably at least 1 if not 2 more streams depending how long they are. But yeah, I'm enjoying streaming this. This game's very good. And doing all the connectivity stuff with Oracle Seasons has been good, even though we've kind of wrapped up now, I think. But there's still more story stuff that we're gonna get that we wouldn't have gotten if we hadn't connected to Oracle Seasons. So that'll be interesting to go through as well. Especially because I've actually never done that in this side of things. I think it's mostly the same, but I think it's slightly different in Ages from Seasons. So this is actually gonna be new for me as well. So that'll be fun. Let me see if there's anyone online. Yeah, it's been really fun. Soon we'll be going back to Rodea the Sky Soldier as well on the Wii. And we'll eventually spin the Wii wheel again, so if there's anything people want to add, feel free to. Well, it's going to be a wee bit till we spin that, I think. I think Rodea's probably not the longest game in the world, but you know, it's going to be at least a few streams. And also I'm going to get the crowd control stuff for Sonic R has come out. It's in beta, but it's in early access, but I can do it. So I'll probably get that set up and do some crowd control stuff at some point. But that stuff will need like a lot of, well, not a lot of people, but we'll need, you know, people ready and kind of active to put dumb shit in the chat to break everything. So once I figure out how that works, I'll give like a maybe slightly more of a heads up than I do for my usual streams, just to be like, this is the one that people need to, if you really want to see something stupid, this is the one. But I'll let people know when I've got that set up, because I've not even started getting that set up yet. Yeah, well, I think we'll raid Chronicle, that makes sense. Chronicle is doing some Lost Ark stuff. Some raids. So that'll be fun. But yeah, thank you for joining. I don't know what my schedule's going to be. I'm not going to be streaming this weekend, I don't think. If I do, maybe it'll be Sunday night, but probably not. Maybe I'll stream tomorrow, actually. I don't have any planned streams for tomorrow, so, you know, pay attention in the Discord if you want to know if I'm going live. It'll be impromptu. It will just be, I'm going live now. But there's a good chance I won't stream this weekend, and I'll be back on Monday instead. As always, for the late night Monday stream. Saturday evening is usually quite free, but I feel like it's usually quite free because no one's around to watch streams either. Which is fine, but I'm often not around to watch streams either, so I might not be around to stream. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, see you all next time. I'll talk to you all on Discord and in other people's chats and so on. Goodbye.